also have a question. You mentioned that you've counseled over 200 couples.
Yes.
Here in Atlanta alone,
Yes.
and I think that's amazing. And so you have a lot of experience.
Yes.
So in this question, he mentioned that finding a way to bring up testing together and his changing in sexual desires without
mistrust.
Mistrust,
Yeah. You don't want
or making him upset.
Right.
So when I hear that, I think, well, why are you predicting what he's going to feel like? You're predicting what the conversation is going to be like. You're living in the future. How often do you see people doing that? You know, trying to predict what's going to happen and then end up not having a conversation at all.
Well, in my experience, I think it's very common for partners in relationships to feel that their partner's going to react a certain way.
Right.
And when we see it actually roll out in a session, their reaction is not what the partner expected.
Because they can't act a fool in front of people.
Well, I mean,
Not necessarily.
but I think a lot of it is the fact that you have a mediator there. And, you know, we typically hear things that people wanted to hear their partners all along, but they didn't know how to phrase the questions, and because they have a mediator there, they feel a little more they feel a lot more comfortable.
Right.
But I do think that in relationships, because I'm in a 4-year relationship, and I think sometimes we jump to conclusions. Even doing the work that I've done, I'm not exempt from having fears of how my partner may react. But I do think that having a mediator there, it does help. It helps a lot. But going back to his question, I do think it's hard for some people to be able to bring up, I want to get tested, without their partner being suspicious.
Right.
So why do you want to get tested now?
Either you
Why
accusing
now?
me or you out there doing something.
And I think one of the things as Black gay men, what we should really do is always keep testing in the arsenal. Even if you're in a monogamous relationship, I would suggest getting tested once a year, for HIV and STIs. Because we're human. We make mistakes. That doesn't mean that the relationship has to end. It just means that we are now taking charge of our health.
Right. And you know what? I think it's important to just fucking be realistic, to be honest with you.
Well, and
if you look at the statistics, sorry I wasn't done, but if you look at the statistics, wherever they are, people cheat. They do cheat. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself.
But I also think if you get tested once a year, if you're in a monogamous or a monogamish, is that how you say it? Relationship, it also forces you to adhere to your agreements. Because you already have these parameters set, so you're going to get tested. So if you are out there doing it, or if you do have a change in sexual desires, or you would like to bring someone else in, you'll bring up those questions because there's some tool out there, that HIV test later on, that anxiety may come up because you don't know, you've been out there doing these crazy things or what have you. So it forces you to keep that conversation going.
I completely agree. And I think one of the other things that I like about this intervention is that not only do you have a conversation about agreements, but you also have a conversation about what would it look like if we broke the agreement. And I think that's a conversation that a lot of us don't have in our relationships because we're afraid of what the answer is going to be from our partner. But I think that, but from what I've seen is that couples that have those conversations, they are able to work through issues. And I think in being an adult in a relationship, you have to understand that you're going to have some sort of issues. And it doesn't mean it's going to be infidelity, but doing this role play, it also opens up the door for you to be able to talk about other things. So
and one thing that we learned, just to piggyback off of what you said, we learned that coming out of our session that we never talked about is, how do I bring it up when I do? How would you like to receive it if an agreement is broken? So I think that's also important as well, because you want your partner to be in a position to be able to receive it the best way that they can.
And also in our session that we had, what was it informing to me was, it was like we had the same responses. Like we wanted to receive the information the same way. We were on the same page with the same agreement. So the fears, because you mentioned fears, we have to recognize that they're fears and then face them head on. And 9 times out of 10, your partner may be going through the same thing. You're more alike probably than you are different. So keep that in mind as well.
And one thing I would like to add to that also is that with the agreements piece, and I know the person that sent you the question had a question about, how do I come to my partner about my agreements? Even if you have that conversation with your partner one time, I would suggest that you go back and you revisit that conversation every 6 months
I was
to
about to
a
say,
year.
schedule it, put it on the calendar. That way it's not uncomfortable to have to bring it up, but it's already there.
Exactly,
It's
because the
already
thing is,
expected.
sexuality isn't stagnant.
It's not.
So who we are today sexually is
Right.
not who we are going to be
Right.
a year from now. So you talked about, you enter the relationship being a top and a
Right,
bottom.
right.
We find that people who have been in long-term relationships, sometimes sexual roles may change.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes
they
a
do.
person may want to change their sexual role and they don't feel comfortable expressing that to their partner. And that sometimes leads to infidelity.
Yeah.
If we open up, have these parameters where we can have conversations with our partner, we find that it creates a more healthy, robust relationship.
You guys have to get over having uncomfortable conversations.
Yes.
You got to talk about it. At the end of the day, you have to talk about it and be realistic. Don't live in a fantasy world where you think Adam and Adam is going to go off into the sky and never have a problem. Because you are going to have problems and they need to be talked about. So.
Absolutely. And I think I want to just leave you with this. Like, your relationship is your relationship.
Yes.
So throw every preconceived notion out the window. You make it whatever you want it to be. So if you want to be a top today and a bottom tomorrow and a versatile the next day, by all means.
I think that's versatile.
But by all means, do you. I mean, if you want to have sex on the balcony or wherever, do you. As long as you and your partner are on the same page, that's all that
Right,
matters.
and the great thing about being gay is there is no tradition with us. We make our own shit up. So make your own shit
Absolutely.
up. All right? I hope that answered your question. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, guys.
Keep asking, keep sharing our videos. Loveworks at
Juan
juanerg.com if you want to ask us a question.
It's loveworks
Peace.
at juanerg.com. We love you all.
Bye. What's up to all you lovers out there? It's Juan and G. And we thought this was a great opportunity to encourage all of you lovers out there, to go deeper into your relationship and take part in the Emory Strong Together campaign.
Yeah, oftentimes, you worry about your physical fitness, your six-pack abs, your bulging biceps, but once you get into a relationship, your sexual health kind of takes a back burner for some people. And we want to send a message out to you to let you know that sexual health is just as important as your physical fitness.
Exactly. So take responsibility for each other's health, go deeper into your relationship, and go to strongertogether.us and take part into the campaign.
And if you're eligible, you could even receive $80 for your time. Once again, that website is strongertogether.us. That's strongertogether.us. Go deeper.
Peace.